And we are live. Welcome to another Super Galactic Saturday. It's a beautiful day today. The sun is coming out. It was overcast, but now I see some blue skies. And as they say, any day above ground is a good day. And today is definitely a good day. I am Jerry Sr. with Jerry Jr.
Good morning.
And we're here just to hang out with you guys, do some talking, do some yapping, do some arguing,
Eventually, yeah.
tell you our 2 cents, and hope you'll join us and tell us your 2 cents as well. Maybe we'll end this stream with a whole dollar. I don't know, but thanks for joining us. Thanks for checking us out. We appreciate it as always. So, and we got a few things to talk about. We're gonna start with our looking at couple of trailers. One we've kind of seen before. Superman's coming out next month. And then another one is Animal Farm, which is interesting because I didn't realize they were doing a movie or based off of Animal Farm. I know a cartoon was made many moons ago. Um,
Yeah, I saw the original cartoon and
yeah,
I've
yeah,
read the
it's
book. My
very
brother's read the book.
compelling. Yeah, exactly. I've read the book, and actually I saw the cartoon first, and then I read the book later when I was in high school. So
Yeah,
it was kind of interesting, seeing it and getting the proper perspective, right? Because watching the cartoon, you kind of get it, but you don't, especially as a kid, you miss certain. But once in high school, I read the book, and it's like, oh, like light bulbs started coming on, and of course, I've rewatched it since, and it's a very good, very compelling. It's very true to the book for the most part, particularly the overarching theme, right? So here we got another remake, I guess, or inspiration from the book, and it's kind of interesting because it sounds like it's being sort of reimagined. Um,
how do you reimagine Animal Farm?
I don't know, but apparently that well that seems to be what's being implied here. And keep in mind, this is just a post. They're obviously pulling it from an article or something somewhere. I don't know what the source is. Um, but first of all, they're calling it Rebellion on the Farm. So that's
Oh.
kind of interesting. And it's already premiered, so it's already made. It's finished. It's aired at the Annecy Film Festival. And when I see this term, the story was modernized. That's a huge red flag. I think nowadays for most people,
Wait a minute. Wait. Hold on a second. The new Animal Farm movie, Rebellion on the Farm, has already premiered at the Annecy Festival. I don't know what that is. If anybody is
the
familiar with it,
Annecy Festival is an animation film festival,
I know,
and they
but where is it
have
at?
I'm not sure. It's not out here. I believe it's in Europe.
Ah,
So
okay, that makes sense.
but yeah, Annecy is a big film festival specifically for independent, and I mean for animation in general, but it definitely caters towards independent animators.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the story was modernized, moving away from Soviet criticism to focus on the current government and capitalism. So it's moving away from the original intent of the book. Great. Napoleon
right.
now bears a more resemblance to Donald Trump while maintaining his actions
Yeah,
from the
see,
book.
you're losing me. You're losing.
Andy Andy Serkis sacrificed part of the novel's dark tone to teach a broader audience, as was done with the
Sac-
1999 live action version. There was a live action version?
I didn't even know that. I didn't know it was a live action. I'm only aware of the animated.
Now I'm just
I
picturing
think it came
Babe,
out
but
in
everybody's depressed and the horse dies. So,
yeah,
like
it
all
came out in
adaptations,
70s, 60s or 70s, I think. So
yeah.
that's the only one I know.
Like all adaptations, the iconic ending is present, but more hopeful and it kind of defeats the purpose. That's not true.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like once again, you can stop that the story was modernized. That's all we need to know. The story is destroyed. It's been dismantled, deconstructed. It's completely lost its original meaning. Uh, it's not going to touch on the same themes as the book.
Well, let's watch the actual trailer and see what it looks like.
All right, let's
'Cause
check it
at
out. Let
this
me switch
point,
it here.
I've already got it up.
All right, can you see it?
Yeah, I got it already. I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what the damage is.
Things aren't always what they seem, Lucky, and I'll help you decide what's right. I'm proud of you, kid, of all of us.
Is
I'm
this?
proud of what we have done.
It is pretty amazing. All of us working together.
Oh yeah, sure. No, I get it. All animals are equal, very much so. But ultimately, pigs kind of got to stick with pigs, and cows got to stick with cows, chickens with chickens, and I guess what I'm saying is, ever since I saved you back in the rebellion, I feel like we have like a special bond. Almost like a father-son thing. Is that crazy?
No,
Do you feel that at all?
I feel the same way. I feel the same way too.
Yeah, please remove yourself from this. We're trying to have a father-son moment. Thank you.
Sure thing, Dad.
No, not Dad.
What?
You and I may be a little bit more uncle-y or like a distant cousin, very distant cousin.
Oh, okay, of course, Pops.
Nope, not Pops either. Definitely not Pops. Let's not do that.
No, I was using Pops as a generic term of endearment.
Yes, I know. Shut up. You're ruining this whole thing.
Thank you.
What
What
was
the-
that? What was
I
that?
mean, okay.
What in the world was that?
I mean, based off that scene, right? I can't say either way. It's an interesting scene. It's kind of
No, it's not. There's nothing
it is.
interesting about that.
It is. You get a chuckle from it, but
No,
it's
no,
like,
you don't. It was stupid. It didn't even
well, it's meant
resemble
to.
the same tone as Animal Farm.
Well, I agree, but I'm just saying, it's the scene itself doesn't tell us enough. It's kind of just this goofy scene where
Right,
he's
but they're
trying to
saying
rob.
that this is a trailer, and it's not even a
Alleged.
trailer.
Yeah, it's not. It's just a clip from the movie, obviously.
That was a horrible clip. Like
But,
that doesn't.
I don't know. It's it's out of
I
context.
know it was bad. It was a bad clip. It was a bad
It was.
scene. The
You just don't
scene.
like. You don't like Seth Rogen. That's all.
I didn't even listen. I didn't even realize that was Seth Rogen.
Yeah, that's
but
Donkey Kong.
that's not funny. But no, I didn't even
It
realize that
is.
was.
It's a Donkey Kong.
I didn't even realize that was Seth Rogen. But
Yeah.
no, but it's not. It's not even that. It's just it was the scene. The scene didn't tell me anything about the story. B, the dialogue was super on the nose, and then C, it's like it wasn't even that funny. It was just like
Yeah, it's just a stupid scene. But
yeah,
that's the point I'm making. It doesn't tell us anything. It's you can't
yeah.
really.
It was
judge
just
the
a whole
movie
lot of
based off
nothing.
of that scene. It's like that whole Mr. Obvious comedy that we got from shows like The Office, the American version, where at the
Yeah,
time it was funny, right? Because it was on the nose, right? Because like Dwight kissing up to the boss, and the boss telling them like no. It's kind of like, yeah, we get that. That's funny because it's off kilter. But here it's like these guys like Seth Rogen and others, they apply that everywhere. Everything they do is that comedy. And it's like it doesn't apply everywhere. And it's
well, yeah.
not
It's
funny
it's the whole
consistently
self-aware.
across the
It's like
board.
self-aware humor and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's like they don't know subtlety anymore. Like that could have been a really funny scene if it was more subtle, right? Like instead of him, like he could have just did or said things to imply I don't like this guy, right? This guy's a brown noser. This
Well,
guy,
not even just
I'm
that.
treating
The dialogue between the Seth Rogen pig and the
him to
the
Seth
little
Rogen.
pig just it didn't feel genuine at all, and it didn't like it
No,
just
but
felt
it,
like
it
on the
it
nose.
definitely shows that he's going to be the main character, the little pig, and he's naive, obviously. So that's going to be interesting. But like what he was saying about pigs, it's like okay, that implies the whole some are more equal than others, or like from the book.
Yeah.
maybe, but we'll see. And that's what I'm saying. We'll see how that plays out. But based on that post and how they outline some of these, especially Andy Serkis, I'll be honest, he was a great Gollum, but I do not like Andy Serkis. I
Who?
think Andy Serkis, the guy that played Gollum.
Okay.
He was like a stunt actor. He thinks he's an actual real actor, but well, he does. He really thinks a lot of himself, and he's made comments in the past about animators and how they're not as important as the actors. It was like,
What?
yeah, yeah. He's a real piece of work. I'll
Well,
keep it at that. So the fact that he's
that's
like part of this, like I guess I think he's producing this or he's directing it or something. But
that reminds me of
yeah,
how
that's not a good
apparently
direction. So
that reminds me of apparently how the actor for the original C-3PO, Anthony Daniels, is apparently a huge jerk.
really,
Yeah,
so
apparently
much like
so.
his character, I guess.
Well, I mean, the C-3PO is just
Difference,
annoying but
well,
endearing.
the difference is C-3PO is not self aware.
Yeah,
He doesn't know he's being a jerk.
yeah. This
This
is
in real life, this guy knows he's being a jerk and doesn't care. Right. So, but yeah, yeah. It's he's made comments in the past. Andy Serkis, I mean, about how like Gollum wouldn't be Gollum without his masterful acting and performance and all this stuff.
oh my
And it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, you did good. I mean, we're not gonna diminish your
I love
performance. It
how
was
he
a good
said
performance.
animators aren't
He did the voice and everything and the facial expression, but it's like you can't say no one else could have done what you did.
I love how he says animators aren't important, but both of his most famous roles
It's
are
because of
him
the
covered
animator.
in animation. Gollum and Caesar from Rise of the Planets of the
That's what I'm saying. It's
Apes.
like, bro, you're giving the
Like
performance,
it's
but
it's well,
animators, listen,
yeah.
a real animator, right? A true animator. Like you look at like the classic Warner Brothers, classic Disney. Like these guys were actors. Many of these guys acted out the scenes themselves and then animated it. They captured it on video or film and then animated. Like, come on now. Like animators are actors. They are performers. And their performance though is executed through their hands, right? And drawing the moving picture. So it's very I found them to be very disrespectful, you know, and
Yeah.
very lacking just any kind of self awareness, and I think part of it was him being motivated to say things like that because of at the time, it was when motion capture was really taking off and being used more and more in Hollywood. And I believe he has a motion capture company. So I think that was a big part of it, like him trying to kind of push it like, oh, you guys need us. You need my performance. You need, because it plays into his own self interest, right? So I think, but it's still a jerk move to say things like that. It's like,
I mean, yeah, it's just pretentious.
yeah, it is. Yeah, be humble, bro. So so
But
knowing
yeah,
that he's
but
part of this
anyways, back
project,
to Animal Farm.
yeah, knowing that it doesn't help at all. Because like I said, I don't like the guy, and
Well,
I
listen,
think a lot of
I'll
people
say this: there is no better animated adaptation than the original 1954 one. I
yeah,
think
I
that had
agree.
the best tone. The music was great. Shout out to Matthias Seiber. I believe that's his name. He's a Hungarian composer. I still
Oh,
remember the music from that movie.
yeah,
I only saw it once.
it's a great movie. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's well produced, and it just captures the tone of the book and everything so well.
yeah.
And it was so apropos then, and it still is today, unchanged. It's everything, all the principles in that book still applies today. So saying that you're going to modernize it and change things around it and say, oh, we're going to focus on this, it's like, okay, you clearly didn't get the memo, right? The book went over your head. That's all I can deduce from that. You have because there's no need to change anything. It still applies today. But
Well, I mean, it's not even. Here's the thing, and this is part of the bigger problem of there's been this discussion of the whole concept of Hollywood wearing other people's skin, in the sense that a lot of these writers, because no one will, no one likes their original stories, or no one would dare approve of their original stories. They have to latch on to existing IPs and existing stories, and then
I
change
mean,
it into
a
their
la,
own stories.
a la Velma, uh,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
Mindy,
Velma,
what's her name? I forgot her name.
it's She-Ra,
Yeah,
it's
Shira. Even
He-Man,
He-Man. Yeah,
it's
I mean, yeah,
it's Lilo and Stitch, right? Where it's
yeah,
like
that's true. Yeah,
they're not telling, they're using other people's art to make their own personal statements,
right. And that's
because
you just struck
the
the core of it all. Is you have to hijack someone else's work, right?
yeah,
It's already established, and tack on
yeah,
your so-called message or whatever that no one cares about. No one
yeah.
would care about
It's the
by
same thing
itself.
with what's it called, the Devil May Cry series, where it's like the original games weren't about the American war, industrial complex, whatever you want to call it. It
Yeah,
wasn't about, they didn't the original games didn't compare uh, demons in hell to the Middle East, which is a crazy comparison, by the way, that the guy willingly made. But that's a whole nother thing. But actually, you know what? Did we ever did I ever show you what was crazy, that the showrunner of that show, tweeted? You know about the Devil May Cry show, right?
yeah. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
Okay, so I'm not the biggest Devil May Cry fan. I don't hate the games. I have Devil May Cry 4. It's pretty good. Um, but so I'm familiar with the series. I played a couple of the games. Um, but the original, the showrunner of the TV series, which is, he's the same guy who was the showrunner for the Castlevania series. Adi Shankar
Yeah,
is his name.
yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, so he's the guy who was in charge of the Castlevania animated series, and he was upset that his show was overshadowed by um, the popularity, or the resurgence of popularity, of Devil May Cry. I think it was Devil May Cry 5, which is the latest game in the series. And it's like, well, yeah, because it's the main game in the series. It was like, what? Because he thought that he was revitalizing the series, not understanding that Devil May Cry 5 was
Well,
already popular before.
yeah, and I think I remember that. Yeah, and it's like, okay, but you are revitalizing it. Like
No, he's not. He
no, I'm
didn't.
saying you're contributing to it, but
Yeah, he's contributed to it. He's not revitalizing
yeah, you
anything.
can't
Devil
get
May Cry.
mad
Well, hold
when.
on a second. Devil May Cry was not a series that ever needed revitalizing. It was always super popular.
Well, yeah, fair enough, but it's like, be happy you're part of that. Like, why would you diminish? It's
Because he
I mean,
never actually cared. He never actually
yeah.
cared about the
Well,
game series. He
that's
cared
the
about his own ego.
a lot of that
That's
is
it.
this. I don't say it's that new. It's kind of been around for a long time, but it's the
What's not
added.
new?
It's the pretentious postmodern artists. Right? They've been around for a long time, and it's sort of permeated most of Hollywood, where the artists themselves think their value is them, right, and not what they produce, right, and they think whatever they produce is valuable because they believe it is, right. It's kind of like it's it's like when you hear artists diminish profits, right? Like, you know, TV shows that become popular.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it's like, oh, it's just slop, it's trash because it's mainstream. And it's like, okay. But it's like, when did being mainstream become bad or evil? Like when what happens? Like what's the problem with something being popular because it's good and people like it, and they just like it because it makes them feel good to watch it. It makes them laugh, or they love the drama, whatever whatever it is, And it's like artists, they get mad when you what's his name, the guy that wrote Watchmen, right? He's upset
Oh
because
yeah, yeah,
the fans of Watchmen love Rorschach, but Rorschach was supposed to be this criticism of conservative, dogma or ideology or
yeah.
something.
Alan Moore, yeah,
Yeah, Alan Moore, and it's like, but he hates because he was supposed to be ironic in some way, but he ended up writing an actually compelling character that resonated with people.
Well, what's funny is that
It's
the
like,
reason why
dude,
people, the reason why it didn't work was because he was trying to deconstruct a already, because if you know the history of Warshak, Warshak isn't really his character. He's based off of a character. He's a reinterpretation of a character called Mister A.
yeah, right. Well, I mean, that's pretty much Watchmen is a deconstruction of these archetypes, at the time of superheroes. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. But his intention was not what the outcome was.
Oh, I
And
know. Yeah,
to be disappointed because people actually like the character versus saying, "Oh, I hate that guy," because, right, like that's what he wanted, right? This rejection of the character, but instead he got the character was embraced, and and that happens a lot. It's if a lot of these writers and creators are honest, more of them will tell you that, like, a lot of the characters they write, like
Well,
even
let's be real. He tried to villainize a character that believed in objective truth, and it didn't
right,
work. Of course, it
exactly,
didn't work.
right, because objective truth is something that we all understand intuitively.
Yeah,
It's not something that we reject it, not because it's untrue or not non-objective. We reject it
because
because of
it's
our own shame.
inconvenient.
Right. It's because of our own ego, pride, and shame.
Yeah,
Right. If we embrace objective truth and apply it to ourselves first, which is how it works,
yeah,
then no one can ever really condemn anyone else, which
right,
is the point.
right.
Right. That's why God is the one that judges. Right. We read that in the Bible. Right. Judgment is the Lord's, not ours. Why? Because none of us are good enough.
Yeah,
Right. We all
absolutely.
understand that. So people that want to reject God reject objective truth, and therefore they have to lambast it and tear it down and deconstruct it and somehow prove that there's no such thing. Right. So they create moral ambiguity. Right. And they say, see, look at that. It's like the whole, you know the villain that tells the hero choose. Like, me and your brother just got through watching Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man, and what happens in the third act, right? The Green Goblin kidnaps Mary Jane and holds her hostage, and then he holds hostage a bus full of kids, right?
Yeah,
Not it was like a lift, whatever, crane, and he's
yeah,
like, choose, right? You're gonna choose the woman you love, or you're gonna choose, the people, right?
yeah,
And he says both. Why? Because objectively he can, because he's powerful enough. Do you
yeah.
understand? And then the reality, though, is he still needed help from the very people that the villain claimed would reject him, right?
Right.
And that was what he was trying to prove. If you choose, they're going to reject you either way. But what he did was he said, "Well, I choose both." Why? Because he can, right? And that's the
Hmm.
objective truth. That's the truth that the villain didn't realize. Is I can
Right.
choose to save everyone. I can do my best. And what happens? Well, when people see that, it inspires them to help.
Right.
And that's what he didn't count on, is that a hero isn't there to save everyone. He's there to inspire us to be better. And that's what we see in that scene when they start flinging things at the Green Goblin and,
Exactly.
distracting him, right? They're started. And by pointing out to your brother, um, that the guy that Peter Parker, I don't know if, hopefully you've seen the movie Spider-Man, with Tobey Maguire.
Well,
But
yeah, of course.
okay, I'm just, I don't want to
Dad,
seem,
we had it on DVD.
no, I'm talking about people listening. But
Uh,
basically at the beginning, the story. He's a wrestler at first. He's doing it for the money, and then this guy comes in and robs the guy that owns the stadium, right? And he lets the guy go because he's like, it's not my problem, right? And that's the
Hmm.
whole idea of great power, great responsibility. Well, in this movie, in the third act on the bridge, the guy that was robbed, that because he comes up to Peter Parker, he's like, "Hey, you could have took that guy out. You just let him go," and he tells, "Oh, that's not my problem. Why? Because just minutes before, the owner gypped him on his money. Right? He didn't pay him the money.
Yeah.
So anyway, but he's there in the third act, clearly inspired by the very guy, right? That and it's
Oh,
interesting.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, he was on the bridge. He's like, "You mess with one of
Oh,
us, you
is he
mess
the
with all
guy
of us."
that says you mess with one of us, you mess
Yeah,
with all of
that's
us?
the same guy,
Oh,
and he's
okay,
throwing and
cool.
he's helping Spider Man. So it's like, so even he was inspired, right? Because he's like,
That's
"Hey,
actually
trying
awesome.
to do the right thing. We're gonna help him do the right thing." So that's the whole point, And people like Alan Moore and others, they're so nihilistic, right? They can't understand objective truth and how it actually works in reality. It's not about one man doing everything, but you hear the term "one man can make a difference," that's the entire point. We see it in movies like inspirational movies like Superman and Spider-Man, where it's like, yeah, it's because the hero inspires others to do good also, right? And now you have, when someone, just like the movie Pay It Forward. Remember that? You know that
Oh
started
yeah,
a
yeah,
whole,
yeah,
whole
yeah.
movement of people just doing good deeds. Why? Because they began to understand, oh, doing good for others facilitates doing good for others. Right? It's
Yeah.
That's the idea of paying it forward, right? It inspires others to do good also because someone did good for me, right? But if you're someone who's nihilistic, right, and fatalistic, then that concept is foreign. You simply believe everybody's bad, right? No one
Right.
does good because for goodness sake,
Right.
and
So
that's
there's
not true.
there's there's two lessons in this. Being a nihilist does not make you enlightened. It just makes you a loser. And B, stop letting people not interested in telling good stories ruin good stories. But let us know what you guys think of the new Animal Farm and a lot of these stories. A lot of these let us know what you think of a lot of these reinterpretations of stories in the comments below.
Yeah, let us know because you know we'll see. I have to see more, but yeah, my guess
I
is
don't. I don't need to
not.
see more.
I'm
I've
talking
seen
about like
enough.
an actual trailer or things, but yeah, just from the looks of it, you know,
I've seen enough.
yeah. And like I said, the fact that Andy Serkis is far, it doesn't bode well in my opinion. So
Yeah.
he's not exactly
Yeah. I'm good.
ideal.
You can keep that.
Yeah, you can keep it. You can keep that, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Send it to the glue factory.
Oh man, that's gonna and I think as a consequence, once again, it's gonna bomb. It's not gonna. It may
Of
have done
course.
well at the film festival because that's a smaller venue, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
and they look, some of these film festivals, I'll leave it at that. But
no, no. I'll say
it's
it. A lot of
it's
these the people that go to film festivals are well.
no, not the people, not necessarily. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to sound like it's anyone that ever goes. It's just a matter of when you look at some of these film festivals, it is just like the Golden Globes, right? A lot of that is just Hollywood shaking its own hand, right? It's patting itself
Yeah.
on the back. That's all I'm saying. In some of these film festivals, that's the case, right? Especially
Yeah.
something like this where it actually has named actors and stars in it. It's like it's not exactly an indie film, right? So you know, it's gonna have a lot of people that are, oh, it was great, it was groundbreaking, whatever. Why? Because well, it's your peers. Your peers are telling you you're great. But that doesn't mean much outside of that circle, that small circle. And that's part of the reason why you do see a lot of this kind of modernized nonsense. And it gets put out in the general public and it bombs. And then they're like, oh, you must be racist or misogynistic. And it's like, well, no, it's just bad. Right? Because in your little circle, your little bubble, everybody said it was great. But that's your little bubble.
Yeah.
Right? Once you get out the bubble, you find out, oh, it's not that good. It's meh, right? So, and that's the harsh reality of it. So that's kind of what I mean. So it's not about people that like going to film. I like film festivals, but You know,
I mean, that's true. I mean, it's
I mean,
it's just
in certain aspects, that's kind of what's
the
happening.
type of people. Regular people don't go to the film festival. It's mostly artsy people. When you're dealing with artsy people, it's a lot of
Yeah,
different.
sure, but I'm not gonna say every artsy person's the same as.
Well, I'm not saying every artsy
Yeah,
person is
that's all I'm
bad. I mean,
saying. Yeah,
in many ways I'm an artsy person, but it's
yeah,
just
that's what I'm saying. I like film festivals. I've been to smaller ones, and they're fun. But yeah, there is certain segment of artists, etc., who are in that same vein of faking, right? That we see with Alan Moore and others. That's kind of what I mean. And unfortunately, when it comes to the artistic space, they seem to be in larger numbers, right? So, that's kind of what I mean. It kind of dominates things,
yeah.
unfortunately, especially when it comes to, and that's part of the reason what drives a lot of this stuff in Hollywood is a lot of the gatekeepers are people like that have that mentality, right? So that's part of the reason why you see certain content get greenlit and certain people get casted for certain things, and you're like, huh? It's like that's kind of what drives that, it's just, you know. So but anyway, we have other trailers. You want to do? I wanted to show you Jurassic World.
The new one.
Yeah, that's coming out next month.
How many
And,
Jurassic movies are there at this point?
too many, too many, too
Yeah.
many is the right answer.
Here's the thing.
Oh, wait
I
a minute.
love
Oh, this is
dinosaurs.
not it. That's the
I
wrong one.
love dinosaurs. I am a dinosaur kid. Like my favorite Mario character is Yoshi. Uh, that they're one of my favorite video games of all time is literally just called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's right.
I had a dinosaur robot. I had several dinosaur
Hey, listen,
robots.
the Dinobots were my favorite in Transformers.
Yeah,
My
Dinobots.
favorites.
Like I'm a dinosaur kid.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think most kids are when they're kids, right? Like,
Well, yeah,
and I think that's part of the reason why.
but even I don't care about
So,
Jurassic World.
yeah, but like I was saying, kids do, and families do, and I think
I don't
that's
know.
why they keep making them because they tend to do okay. They're profitable, not necessarily box office wise, although I think they still do decent numbers. Um, but I think because of
Maybe I don't see any kids in real life talking about Jurassic World. They're usually talking about, Friday Night Funkin' or Five Nights at Freddy's
well, yeah,
or Roblox. They're
I,
not talking about Jurassic World.
well, I don't think it's a matter of talking about it. It's just I think it's just the idea of dinosaurs. But Afrocentric Jukebox says that was terrible. They are purging oral Animal Farm. Just shouldn't be treated like an irreverent story. Yeah,
I
I
agree.
agree with that. Some stories should be left alone because they stand, you know, they're fine as they are, and that's definitely one of them because it's a timeless story. It would never not be relevant. That's
Well,
just
I think Walt Disney said it best. Some stories aren't meant to be remade, just remembered.
yeah. That's a great way to put it too. Yeah. All right, Jurassic World.
Please open the door for me.
On the island we're headed to, 24 species have survived there alone.
The theme park owners did experimental work, leaving only the worst ones here.
Don't see that every day or ever.
Let's go.
If we get this DNA, millions of lives are saved.
Maybe we should make this quick, huh? Time to move.
We put ourselves in a place where we don't belong. Survival is a long shot.
That's kind of our specialty.
She's scared. What is she scared of?
Come on! Run!
We're not gonna let you get hurt, okay?
Hey!
Then was a source. We found it? No, it found us.
Okay.
That
So,
was booty.
well, to say something positive, the first few seconds of it were pretty scary.
Nah.
The some of the I don't know. I guess I'm not. I've seen it all before. I guess I think that's the main.
We've seen it before.
The only thing I will say is that there were some dinosaur designs that look cool, but also that look nothing like dinosaurs. Like that one in the dark, one of them just looked like a predator or like an alien from Predator or something.
Maybe that's the point. I don't know. Maybe they're hinting at some. I don't know. But Afro Central Jukebox says, "Look, it's a movie with dinosaurs." Yeah, that's basically it. It's a movie doing a thing about the
Yeah.
things. I mean, Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, right? Some big names.
Yeah, I mean they're
You know,
good actors, but
I don't
yeah,
know what the connection is to
not
the
enough
previous.
to get me hyped.
Yeah, I don't know. They got the little girl, the Dora the Explorer. She's got the little backpack and a little dinosaur in the backpack. Why? Reasons, I suppose. Um,
What they need to do is they need to make a movie about Cadillacs and dinosaurs.
no, what they
Where
need
it's
to
no no
do.
no 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 hear me out, because in Cadillacs and dinosaurs you actually get to you're fighting poachers, you're fighting dinosaur poachers, but B, you're also physically beating up dinosaurs into submission
Okay, I mean,
while riding a Cadillac.
yeah, that sounds awesome. But what they should
That
do
would be a much
is
cooler movie.
something original. Well, I mean, that would be original, but they should do Micro. I would love to do
I don't know what
because it's
Micro
also
is.
Michael Crichton. It's a great book.
I don't know what that is.
It's a book. It's by
All
Michael
right,
Crichton.
what is it
Same
about?
guy, the same guy that wrote the original Jurassic Park.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and it's about. And actually, he didn't get to finish this book. But
Oh, really?
yeah, because he passed away. But
Oh, okay.
it's a wonderful story about. I
About
think it's about
dinosaurs.
no, actually,
Yes.
it's about these students. They're all like grad students or something like that, and they enter this program, and they accidentally get shrunk. It's kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids meets Jurassic Park, so to speak,
Oh,
because
wow, that's
they
funny.
get shrunk down, and then a series of events occur unexpectedly, obviously, and they're stranded out in the wild. You're right. So, and they're like an inch tall. So everything's a monster, right? Grasshoppers, crickets,
Ah,
bees,
okay.
moths.
Yeah, that'd be actually pretty
You know,
sick.
yeah, it's pretty, but they still have their proportional strength, which is fascinating. So they're actually
Oh, so it's literally like
agile
Ant-Man.
and yeah, in a sense, yeah, it's kind of fun. It's a fun book. It's a fun read. The character development is really good, and it's pretty brutal too. It's like there's one scene I never forget. It was towards the end where this guy, he was one of the most pretentious characters. Um,
It's always the most
and
pretentious
yeah,
character.
and he survives. He manages to survive despite his cowardliness, etc. but he finally figures out a way to at least in his mind to escape, and he rides um, this bug or insect, whatever I forgot what it was, and he ends up getting prior to that he got like stung in his arm or something by his a giant bug, but they didn't know what it was, right? And he managed to survive it though. So he thought, okay, I'm okay. And then over time, his arm starts changing. So it's kind of like, what's happening? Like, is it a consequence of us being mutated this way, or am I turning into a we don't know. It's all the speculation. And then finally, he's getting away, right? He's hops on this insect. Somehow they can control. They figured out a way to kind of control the bugs, I guess, or tame them enough to fly back to where they started, so they can reverse. And while they're flying, he's tagging along, of course, and his arm is like swollen, like huge, and he's hoping like, oh, I hope I can, and finally his arm kind of bursts open, and all these little bugs.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
And they immediately crawl all over him and start eating him alive.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
It's the most graphic thing in the book, and I'm like, yo, he kind of deserved it, but still, that's terrible. It's the worst, but it's a great story, and I would love to see that made into this, sci-fi action adventure suspense horror, because it has all those things in it. It's a great story. It's a great book. So, but that would be too close to original, and Hollywood doesn't do original anymore. So they do remakes and sequels and prequels, and
I mean,
kind of exhausting. So see you later. Thanks for joining us, Afrocentric. Appreciate it. So, but I would like to see them do Micro. That's a great book. If you haven't read it, read it. Do yourself a favor. It's a good story.
Check it out.
So that's that. I actually want to mention at least sort of, I guess, honorable mention. They're doing a new Spaceballs. They're doing a Spaceballs.
No.
They just released a teaser trailer, I guess.
You're joking.
I'm not kidding at all. It's supposed to be coming out in 2027, I think. And I don't know.
I mean, I already said it with the Naked Gun remake. You just can't do it. You just can't do it.
Yeah, some things shouldn't be remade.
It's just not the same. Right? You can't, like, some things were just made for 1980 whatever. Right? It's like,
I'm just
like telling me, oh yeah, they're gonna remake, I don't know, All in the Family. Like, why?
Right, they shouldn't.
Or Good Times. Oh wait,
well, they already tried that, and it was garbage.
It was awful.
Yeah. I'm just gonna play a little because it's just reading. So
38 years ago, there was only one Star Wars show.
But it's funny because, as you'll see, it's hilariously on point. Like
Countless sequels for this.
A prequel to the sequel.
You spin off of the TV.
Yeah. It's like, this is
Two Dunes, some Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Two different Robert Downey Jr.'s.
36 DCU movies.
A live action animated Lion King, a live action animated
prequel. Yeah. They actually did exactly. It's like, what? And, for a second.
Hold on a second. The 7 Alien movies, 2 which were also Predator movies, 1 Prometheus, which is kind of an alien movie, 4 Beatles movies, and Oppenheimer.
But you almost think, okay, they made some of that up. No,
it's all true.
Make any of that up? That is actually what we've gotten over the last 2 or 3 decades, right? Is prequels, sequels, and more prequels and sequels on top of sequels and prequels. It's kind of crazy, and so they figured their turn, I guess. I mean,
I mean that was funny.
We asked, what do the fans want? But instead, we're making this movie.
it's like, listen,
Okay,
May
all
the
let me
right,
force be with you.
all right, all
let me tell
right.
you something. That's the goat right there, right? So
What's his name again?
what?
I said, what's his name again? I know he's the guy from the movie.
You don't know who that is?
I know who he is. I just forgot his name. All right, I'm sorry, I'm not an old fogey like you. Mel Brooks. There we go.
You don't remember Blazing Saddles?
Yes, Dad. I know Blazing
In the
Saddles.
world?
Don't lecture me on old movies. All right, we could both do this all day. We could both lecture each other
Okay,
on
well,
old movies.
you can't forget about Mel Brooks. But listen, that's the goat, and that trailer was on point. What he said was on point.
Yes.
It's like we listen to the fans, but instead we're just gonna. So it's like it kind of gives me hope that maybe it'll actually be good. I don't know.
Well, I
So,
mean, if Mel Brooks is still, I'm not gonna lie. I thought he was dead, but
well, yeah, he's kind of just been in, hiatus. So yeah, I don't know.
cryosleep,
Yeah, I
which
mean
is
he's old.
fine.
He's an old guy. I mean,
No, I mean, good for him. I thought he
yeah, he has
passed
a right to
away.
chill out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, didn't they do a remake of the History of the World?
No, no, they didn't.
I thought they did. I thought they tried to do some kind of.
Oh no, you're right. There was a TV show called History of the World Part Two.
It was a TV show. Okay, and I don't know how that did. So I kind of checked out because I guess I'm one of those fans that was like it didn't need a part two. So
I mean, yeah.
I never bothered watching it, and I wasn't sure. Maybe I'll. I mean, is it on Netflix or something or Amazon?
It's on. It's on. I don't remember. Um. Yeah. What is it on? It's on Hulu. There we go.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, it'll be Disney. Yeah.
Is Hulu owned by Disney?
Yeah, basically, they own like 60% of the. of the
Oh, okay.
company.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's why they bundled together.
Gotcha.
So, all right. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I will admit that was
said,
funny,
the
but
first, yeah, it was. It was. If the humor is more of that, you know, tongue in cheek, making fun of itself, self aware, it
Well,
might actually be good.
well, to be fair, I was like I said, I was under the assumption that Mel Brooks would not be a part of it, but thankfully,
Well, it
he's
looks like
still-
he is at least, you know, maybe just as a symbol, kind of like Stan Lee, right? He wasn't there writing the scripts, right? But he was definitely around. He was a presence, right? Consultant, maybe to be similar. Hopefully, he'll be writing it. So, but I don't know. We'll
I mean,
see.
that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. But Mel Brooks, man, is a legend. So, comedy legend.
I
Playing
said was I recently watched, was it Young Frankenstein? That's Mel Brooks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was a
That's
funny
Gene,
movie.
Gene Wilder. Yeah, that's a great one. Now, Madeline Kahn, one of the greats, one of the greatest movies, man. It's hilarious. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I say I don't know how the History of the World Part Two did. So, but no one's really talking about it. It hasn't been. I haven't seen any like memes or anything, or
Yeah,
so it seems like it didn't really make a big splash. So
that's
maybe
pretty
Spaceballs
safe to
will.
say.
Yeah. So but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because it kind of surprised me. I didn't think they were going there, so to speak, right? So, but apparently they are. So hopefully it's good, just as everything else. Speaking of hoping something's good, the latest Superman trailer dropped, and I gotta admit, I was pleasantly surprised, I guess. I actually enjoyed it. So
I haven't seen it yet.
All right, let's take a watch.
Superman.
The most powerful being on planet Earth. We finally meet. Now, as planned, I'll destroy you. And of course, that reporter you always do interviews with. Who raised you as a child? I'll kill them too.
No matter what you do to me, Luther, your plans won't work.
Wrap it up.
Good luck with that.
Make a move, Big Blue.
Buckle up.
They chose him. Let them die.
Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
This right here. A lot of people take issue with it for some reason. They
With
don't.
what? With what?
It's flying. This right here. See how it looks very elongated?
Yeah, I mean they've been doing that a lot with a lot of heroes. They did the same thing with Black Adam.
They
I
did?
think, yeah. I mean there was a whole meme about it.
Oh, I
So-
didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
I gotta check that out.
so-
No, but I mean, I don't necessarily take issue with it. I think it's fine. It's a stylistic choice. I think. You know,
I mean, yeah, I get it. I think
I think he's shooting for something that's more reminiscent of obviously the classic Christopher Reeve, Richard Donner Superman movies, but also something that is pulling from comics, right? And even animation where you get this exaggerated, over the top kind of feel about it. At least, and I'm going by, like I said, from watching the trailer. You know, especially that scene where he's zooming so fast that it's stretching his body, right? Like that's a very comic book type of approach, very animation, you know, using that squash and stretch, and so I don't know. I don't think it necessarily looks bad. I think the tone that's being set by the trailers, especially this last couple, plays into that well visually. So I don't know. I'm starting to feel like maybe it's going to be good, like a decent movie. You know, there's been some nitpicks, obviously with the suit, and then I think it was the previous or the one before the trailer with him. No, it was like a scene, right? It was like a clip of him being interviewed by Lois. A lot of people didn't like it.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, my nitpick was the fact that he just seemed so, I don't know, kind of whiny, you know. So that was, you know, it wasn't the fact that he was being challenged, right, or that he pushed back with his own reasoning. It was just the kind of the
yeah.
tone
I think
my
that's
opinion.
fair.
Yeah, the delivery was my for me was my critique, but overall, it's like I haven't dismissed the movie. I think it has a chance to do well. Um, as anything, the biggest thing is going to be: is it a good story? Is it a story that when you walk away, you're going to be like, "Oh, okay, that was really good." Despite any
Yeah.
other criticisms, like, "Oh, the VFX were subpar," or that whole stretchy stuff is kind of goofy, or "Oh, you knocked the guy's teeth out and it hit the lens of the camera, that was dumb." Like, everyone's going to have their opinion, but at the end of it, was it a good movie? Like, did it make you feel all the feels you want to feel? You know, were,
Hmm.
were you cheering for Superman? Was it hopeful? Was it, you know? Um, I'm hoping that it checks all those boxes, right? Where it's like, yeah, this movie is aspirational and inspirational, and there's a little bit of fun and goofiness thrown in. That's James Gunn. That's kind of his stick, right? So it's to be expected, I think. Like, what movie can you point to that he's done where he hasn't injected some level of humor?
Yeah, I mean that doesn't really bother me.
Yeah. So
None
yeah,
of the
that's
humor has been sort of out of left field. I don't think so. I
yeah,
think it's
right. Yeah, I think so. That's what I mean. It's um, it could work within the context of the story that's being told, right? So we'll see. Then of course there's the comparisons to Zack Snyder's Snyderverse Superman, and Henry Cavill. And listen, I'll agree with anyone that says Henry Cavill was one of the greatest casts for Superman. I agree, he was. He was a great Superman. Like, the casting for him was spot on. I think he was awesome. And they're not just having the look, but he definitely seemed to have like the attitude, off camera as well as on camera. Like he just seemed like all around.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's a cool guy.
this guy is a great person to play Superman. And I would say my issue is not with him; it's with the
It's just the
writing.
writing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the storytelling wasn't as compelling as it should have been for Superman. I mean, we got Man of Steel. That was okay. I liked a lot of parts of Man of Steel, a lot of aspects, but there's so many more that I don't like. They kind of outweigh the things I like. So that's the unfortunate. And I've done a whole video. If you check out my channel, you'll see I've done a video about it. It's kind of like there's just things that should have been done better to make it a way more compelling movie. That movie could have been on par with Richard Donner's cut. And when I say that, I simply mean to have that kind of iconic status that
yeah.
Christopher Christopher Reeve brought, and that Richard Donner helped bring, right? Because
Hmm.
it was his vision, right? Like doing Krypton and everything the way he did. That
Yeah.
was vision, and it's stuck, you know. And I think that could have happened with Man of Steel, but I think Zack Snyder, just dropped the ball. I mean, he wanted to do what he wanted to do, but it's like for some reason at that time,
Well, it just didn't feel like Superman.
yeah, they wanted to do this very dark um, tone, you know, and off the heels of um, the Batman movies, right? I can't think of his name now. Sorry. Um,
So,
you know,
Christopher Nolan.
yeah, Christopher Nolan. Thank you. Yeah, the Christopher Nolan movies. I think there was a mentality that, oh, we want more of that. And the reality was, it's like, well, no, we actually don't want more. Like Christopher Nolan, what he did with Batman is phenomenal. Like, period. Like, it was the
Yeah,
best
I
iteration
agree.
of Batman that we have seen. And listen, that's not to knock the previous, especially the first with Michael Keaton. Still one of my favorites. And even though I didn't expect Michael Keaton to be Batman, let alone to actually do a good job. But and my favorite personally, obviously, in my opinion, out of that run, right, that initial Batman movie franchise, right, was Batman Forever. Um, that
Wasn't
was
that with what's his name? George Clooney? Not George
no,
Clooney. That was a what's his name? Ben Affleck. Was it?
no, no.
But Batman Forever.
I don't know.
Oh, Val Kilmer. There we go.
You got some kind of contagion or something.
Oh, what happened?
Because your forgetfulness is making me forget.
What are you talking about?
Because I was about to say Val Kilmer, and then when you said who was it, I don't, and I was like, it just left me. I don't know why.
Don't blame me for stuff like
It's
that.
your fault.
You're older than me. Whatever.
No, you messed
Yeah,
up.
Val Kilmer. That's what I was
Elder
trying to
abuse
say.
or something. I don't know. No, but yeah, Val Kilmer. I think he gave. I think he gave the best performance as Batman at that time, in my opinion. Even though I like Michael
Really?
Keaton, I think he was great. Yeah, I think so. I think he was a great Bruce Wayne and a great Batman. And I love it. It goes baking to that duality I was just talking about with Spider Man. It's the
I
same
feel
thing
like
happened.
I remember Jim Carrey and what's
Yeah,
his name
Jim
more
Carrey
so
was
than
in it.
Val Kilmer.
He
Well, I
was the
know.
Bruce.
I'm
Yeah.
saying Jim Carrey and
And Tommy Lee Jones. He was
yeah.
yeah.
I know. My point is they were more memorable than Val Kilmer
Well,
was.
yeah, that's true for any iteration of Batman. The villains are always more memorable. So, but even in the first one with Keaton, the Joker was more memorable.
Yeah, but I still.
So that's not unusual. But Val Kilmer gave a great performance, and it was awesome. He was great. And like I said, the final scene, he gives him two choices, right? Save the woman he loves, or save his partner, right? The young man that he basically adopted, right? Robin, and he saves them both, and he tells them that I'm both Bruce Wayne and Batman. I'm not one or the other. It's beautiful and brilliant. So I love it. That's why I love that movie so much. So it's
Okay.
all about that duality, and I thought it was great. So uh, it's to me, it's one of the better runs of Batman. Like out of all the bunch, I will put that one first, and then the first Batman with Michael Keaton is second. So,
Oh, wow.
a lot of people like the second one with Catwoman and the Penguin, which it was okay. I didn't care for. I think it was Michelle Pfeiffer, right? She was
Yeah.
Catwoman. I honestly didn't care for her performance. She was okay, you know.
Yeah,
But,
the movie was weird. I don't really like that movie.
I mean, well, the
I don't
Catwoman
dislike it. I
character
just thought it was
itself
weird.
is a weird character, right? Because she's feline. She becomes this feline vixen. You know.
Well, they keep playing in. They keep trying to play into the cat part of the cat burglar when it's not really necessary. Right? They do it.
Well,
They
no,
do
it
it for.
is. It's okay.
No,
That's the
it's
stick.
not. It's just
Yes, it is.
weird.
She's a cat
We
woman.
don't need to see
She's
her
a cat
drinking
person.
milk out of a bowl, Dad. It's not
No,
necessary. It's just
I agree
weird.
with that. That's stupid.
Okay, so
I,
then they keep trying to play up.
it's like Batman doesn't hang upside down
Yeah,
in a
that's my point
cage.
though. Is that they take it too far.
Yeah.
Like we don't
Well,
need to see her. No. We don't need to see her drink milk out of a cat
I
bowl.
know,
We
but
don't need to
yeah,
see her play
but
with
that's what I'm saying.
catnip.
Like it was, yeah,
It was
it
dumb.
was.
They do it in that
But
movie, and they do it in the Holly Berry movie, and it's really dumb.
yeah, it is. It's idiotic. It's not just dumb. It's idiotic. It's
Yeah.
moronic. Because in like I don't know about the comics. I don't know if it's ever been done, but in the
Not,
animated
not a
iteration,
lot.
yeah,
No.
she's always been handled pretty well. Like the Batman animated series, etc. She's a great character. She's
Yeah.
and even the Warner Brother movies when she's been great. So I'm not sure why they do that in live action. Why they make her look stupid. In live action. It's
It's so
probably
dumb.
some kind of humiliation ritual. That's what I think. So I think that's probably why they do it. So
I don't know. I just assume because it's a comic book, they feel like they have to make it
no, because even in the comics, she's not.
campy.
She doesn't do that in the comics in every run and every like that's not a
I
regular.
I can't recall a single issue or just story
Yeah,
where she
I've never heard it.
does stuff like that.
I've only ever seen that in the
Unless it was as a joke.
yeah. So it's stupid. So I don't know why they do that. But anyway, yeah, those are my favorite Batman movies. Um, and yeah, Val Kilmer is awesome. I thought he was great. But yeah, Man of Steel, it's okay. It's not very inspiring. Even the Justice League movies, both of them, the Josh Whedon one and the rework, the 4 hour, you know, dumpster fire. I don't know.
What wasn't very inspiring?
The Justice League movies.
Oh, okay. I thought you
They
said the Val Kilmer movie.
no. I was talking about, uh, and relatively speaking. In other words, looking at this trailer, I can see how this could be the kind of Superman movie we want, where it's aspirational and inspirational, right?
Gotcha.
Versus as compared to Man of Steel or the Justice League movies, which weren't either. They were very nihilistic, right? They were fatalistic. They were
Right.
now granted. I think Josh Whedon tried to give us a more inspirational Justice League with his version. It was far more colorful, brighter. They do save the world at the end, and it's they do the whole hero shot. Um, and then in Zack Snyder's rework of it, um, I mean, they still save the world, right? Um, and he tried to give Superman a big entrance, right? When he takes out Steppenwolf, it was okay. Um, it wasn't as inspiring as it probably should have been or could have been had the story
Mhm.
played out differently, in my opinion. So that's just me. I've watched them. I've watched the 4 hour. I've watched the first one that was released in theaters.
It was 4 hours.
Yeah, the what he did, it was remember it went direct to streaming on Max, and it was 4 hour, like 4 hours long. It was in two parts, I think, two or three parts. It's long because he put in a lot of deleted scenes, I guess, and probably shot new scenes as well, I think. And that's why I always make the argument about Cyborg that it's basically a Cyborg movie that's kind of shoved inside of a Justice League movie. 'Cause
Well,
they do he does play up Cyborg a lot more in the extended one, right?
yeah.
Which is nice because he has a great story. But I'm like, well, just make a movie about him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, instead of shoehorning him in, just make a freaking movie and call it Cyborg. You know what I mean? Like, why
Yeah. Well, no,
diminish
call it
his character?
Booyah.
Yeah, fine. That's fine with me. But like, do a Cyborg movie about his story. Like, he has a
No,
great,
but I agree. Yeah.
you know, and even the revamp where he's tied to um, what do you call it, the mother box technology and all that. I mean, I guess that's fine.
Oh yeah, Justice League War.
That's a newer, yeah, revamp from the New 52, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be more like he's just a cyborg through advancements in cybernetic. Maybe it's highly experimental cybernetics that his dad helped to develop, and he uses it to save his life. That's great. And his brain becomes a quantum computer. Like, that's awesome. Um, and then he has to adjust to his new life. Being half man, half machine, right? And that can be a compelling story. Then you can rope it into the greater, Justice League and all that kind of stuff. But although I would have went the route of Teen Titans first, you know, that would have been awesome to have a Teen Titans movie, right?
Yeah.
I had to do a series. Yeah, that's another. I watched like 3 episodes, and I just lost interest. It just, I was just
Yeah, I didn't even bother. It
this
just
is painful to watch. Just the way that the characters were imagined. Just I don't know. It's like I don't understand. Well, I do understand, but it's like, why do we lean towards making things dark and twisted and quote unquote realistic?
well, it's like
When
I said
it's a
earlier.
freaking comic.
People think that being nihilistic means that you're somehow enlightened or something like that. But no, it
I
doesn't. It
guess,
just
but
makes you a
yeah,
loser.
it's just, and sometimes it can be interesting, right, to reinterpret something. I'm not knocking that at all. It's just sometimes it's like,
Well,
uh,
the problem isn't about reinterpreting. It's about like what's it has more to do with like what's the point of the reinterpretation? Like what
yeah,
point does it
right,
serve?
right.
Like so for example, I mean this is a video game, but the difference between Mega Man and Mega Man X, right? Classic Mega Man is essentially just Astro Boy. where it's like, but where it's like he's the obvious hero, and he's the good robot who has to save the world from evil robots, right? And then Mega Man X, which is the sequel series to Mega Man, takes place like 1,000 years in the future. It's got a grittier tone to it. There's a lot more nuance where the robots or the Reploids are essentially they serve as the military in the world to protect the humans, and there's a virus that turns sometimes there's a virus that turns uh, Reploids or robots evil, and sometimes it's just the robots want to rebel against their human overlords and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because it's gotten to a point where Reploids, they're called Reploids in the series, are so like you could confuse. They're like they're basically people, right? They have a conscience and stuff like that. Where it's like uh, there's this whole thing. It's like does does Mega Man X deserve humanity? There's always it's kind of a meme at this point where he's always asking why do Reploids fight? But it's like it's to serve a purpose. It's like there's a greater point to making things dark and edgier. It's not dark and edgier just for the sake of it, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah, I
exploring
understand.
the bigger questions about you know giving AI humanity and stuff like that.
Right, and as it should be. All right, that's what I'm saying. There's
But there was clearly no greater point into making the Teen there was no greater point into making the Teen Titans edgier other than to have Robin say F Batman. And that's really
yeah,
about it. It doesn't get any deeper than that.
right.
And
It
we know
doesn't.
it does. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's for the sake of its own self, and
Yeah.
that's not enough. It's vapid, and versus and it doesn't have to become the Robin of the 1960s Batman. Like people think in this extremes of either or, and it's like no, just write a good character, right? Make him plausible, give him a personality, so that when he does get to that F Batman, it has some kind of weight behind it. It means something for some reason, whatever that reason is, right?
Yeah.
They had a falling out. They disagreed on, like I remember watching, I think it was Under the Red Hood, right? And there was a flashback to, I think it was Jason Todd, right? That was the one that,
Yeah.
and they're like fighting one of the goons from the Penguin or Joker or something, and
Hmm.
Jason Todd kind of goes too far and he breaks the guy's arm, right? And Batman like reprimands him right there, like, what are you doing? You broke his arm, and he's like, I'm sorry, I got carried away, right? He was like, I was just so angry, right? Because I guess it was like a very intense case or something. But in any case, like that shows kind of where they started to divide, right? Where it's like, oh, he started to kind of go overboard with the violence because he became judge, jury, and executioner. When Batman's like, no, I'm just the judge and the jury, but I'm taking you to justice, right? The whole point is justice, not revenge, right?
Hmm.
And Jason Todd went down the path of revenge, especially after what happened with the Joker, right? And basically trying to kill him. But you understand, it's like that divide makes sense. So for him to get to a point to say F Batman, you would go, yeah, of course he's gonna feel that way. Like, look what happened, right? Look at the path he went down. But in the live action show, the Teen Titans, it made no sense. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, like they led with that without giving context. Why? Because they wanted to be, incite the
Because
audience.
they wanted a zinger for the trailer, and that's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. It was like, okay, but it's just it's not enough. And DC kind of has a reputation for that with when they bring a lot of their characters into the adult realm, they tend to go super spicy with a lot of stuff. So it is what it is. That's, I don't know why, but they do.
Yeah,
And
man.
it's so unnecessary. But even like the Harley Quinn show, a lot of people like it. I didn't care for it. It's like, all right. At some point, it's just too much. It's like it's just so like it's not even that it's like dumb. Like I watched that show. I watched a couple episodes of like Kite Man, and it was actually kind of funny, right? It had some funny
Oh my
moments,
god.
But it's like they get to in the weeds with the gross humor, where it's like, well, what are we doing here? Like,
Yeah.
at some point, it's like, what's the point here? It's kind of dumb.
Well, it's this whole thing of adult humor is just swearing and
Yeah,
gore and stuff like that,
it's fart
and
jokes,
sex.
swearing, and sex. Yeah,
Yeah,
and now everybody's gay. Every
yeah.
character's gay or bi or secretly gay or saying, "Oh my god!" Like, stop it. Like it's really not that funny anymore. It's like you're just looking at it sideways, like what are they doing? So I don't know. It is what it is, but I divest. Yeah, it's going that route of the dark tone with Justice League, and I think that was a mistake in my opinion. I'm not saying it should be hippy dippy happy, whatever. Just
Well,
make
it's not about
that-
making happy
I
stories,
know, but
right?
that's what I
Like one
mean.
of
But
my
that seems to be the logic, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's a flawed logic. It's not either or, right? Like if you look at Superman, right, Christopher Reeve, especially Superman 2, it gets pretty dark, right? Um, when the three Kryptonians come, and they
yeah, Zod
but
and
they
them,
they
yeah.
still keep it family friendly though, right? Because they still wanted it to appeal. They didn't want they didn't want to push it into PG, 13 or R or whatever, right?
Mm.
So, but it's like they managed to tell a compelling story though. Otherwise,
Well,
and that's kind of what I'm
you
saying.
don't even have to go to the movies. Just look at the comics themselves, right? Like Kingdom Come is probably my favorite DC story ever.
Yeah,
That's a dark story.
it is.
Half of the heroes die,
Yeah,
but it's not dark for the sake of being dark. There's a greater point to the
it
story,
is. Yeah,
and it ultimately ends with a somber but still happy and hopeful ending,
it does.
in
That's
spite of
exactly what
all
they
that.
get to the other side of that darkness, where there's hope still remains, right?
Yeah.
And they play it up nicely with the scene that when they flesh out the scene, and it's like like they got to the other side, and that's all I'm saying is like you look at a lot of stuff out there, especially like I said, with Man of Steel. I don't know. It's kind of like it went from Man of Steel, and he just barely saves the world, right? And he had to do it by murdering his enemy, you know, and then to Batman versus Superman, where he has to fight another hero.
So, yeah. So I'll be honest.
So,
I didn't have a problem with him killing Zod because he technically kills Zod in Superman too. But
no, I know. I'm not. I'm not. I'm
it
just
was
saying
just
what
the
I'm talking
way.
about. The
Well,
note that it
hold
ends.
on a second. The way, because here's the thing: the way it was portrayed in Man of Steel, they made it seem like he had no other choice, even though he had plenty of
Yeah,
choices.
lots of
So it
choices.
just felt contrived for
Yeah,
the
it
sake of it.
was. That's my biggest criticism. But what I was saying is, you go from that to Batman versus Superman, and he dies.
Well, yeah, he quote unquote dies. Yeah.
You understand? Like, so he went from he murders, it really didn't have to now he's dead. And even that in the first movie in Man of Steel, at the end, like the extra scene, he downs a drone. So he basically makes the government an enemy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I get the whole idea of the spy drone, but it's like, you know, I don't know, man. Like, can we do something else? Like, can we show him saving lives and like,
I mean,
a
that's
ticker
true.
tape
He
parade? I
didn't.
don't know.
That's true.
That's all I'm
There
saying.
wasn't a
Like,
whole lot of scenes of Superman actually being heroic.
right? Just being Superman. That's all I'm saying. It's kind of like, okay, so he went from murdered the last countryman or whatever.
Like all of the most iconic
All,
scenes from Man of Steel is either him breaking something that's someone's stuff,
or
or
fighting the
or you know,
other Kryptonians.
yeah.
And listen, those scenes were awesome. Like the fight scene in Smallville,
Well, that's not the point though.
they were great. You know, but
It's just it doesn't help
yeah,
his
and then like the
character.
scene where the guy at the bar, remember, like he holds back, but then he goes outside and like wrecks his
I mean,
diesel.
yeah, that was funny. I don't even remember what that was
Oh,
about.
I don't know. I didn't find it that funny. I was just like, okay, so Superman's a jerk.
Well, yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
I don't
like,
even remember why he did it. He just made him.
yeah, the guy just made a pass at the waitress or something. And then he was like,
Oh, okay.
stop it. And he's like, what are you going to do? And he throws a drink in his face. And he walks away. It was like, okay.
Yeah, that was a weird scene.
Yeah. Then he goes outside and wrecks his truck. And, you know, leaves it mangled. It's like, okay. You know, like,
See, a
right.
better
I don't, you know,
a better moment would have been the guys were jerks to him at the bar, and then the trucker almost gets into an accident, and he saves the trucker in spite of
save the
him being a
trucker.
jerk.
Exactly.
Because
That's
that
it.
would have been something Superman would have done.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. That's Superman. Right?
Yeah.
Like what if the guy takes a swing and he punches him and Clark Kent takes a dive, like the punch hurt. You know, he actually falls to the ground, like, but the guy's hand is like broken. You know, like, oh man,
Right. Yeah.
it's like steel, right? You know, so he kind of
Yeah.
gets
Yeah. This man is made
they're
out of
like,
steel.
they're like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. He just kind of hides his face to show that he doesn't have bruising, right? And he goes to the bathroom and comes out. He's like, yeah, I'm good, you know. And then he leaves. And then, yeah, like you said, something the guy's driving down the road. Maybe it's a stormy night, and he loses control. And lo and behold, here's Clark Kent, and he saves his life. And he actually gets a glimpse of his face, even though maybe he tried to hide his identity.
Yeah.
And he's like, you, right? And he just leaves. He doesn't say anything to him.
Yeah.
And now the guy's like, whoa, you know, like this dude saved my life, and I punched him out in the bar 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
That's Superman. You understand? Like,
Yeah.
it's like what they did though. It's kind of, well, what are you saying? Superman is just an angry guy that unleashes his anger somewhere else, or you know, like, you know what I mean? Like it's, I don't know. It just didn't play up to this guy who's supposed to be heroic, right?
Well, because the point
Like
wasn't make
something like that.
the point of the movie wasn't to make Superman heroic. The point
Yeah,
of the
I agree.
movie was to make him like everybody else when he's not supposed to be like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it was just, he's just like us guys. Look, he gets mad, he just goes and punches a wall. You know, and it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's not the Superman we remember reading about. You know, especially for something petty like that. Like if it was something far more compelling, you know, like the guy
Yeah.
beat up, you know, beat the woman up or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it was something far more egregious, and he had to hold back. Why? Because you know he had to keep it secret, or if he unleashed, he really would kill the guy, right? You know, but it's like, I don't know. It just seemed like it was far more nuanced and subtly done in previous iterations. And in Man of Steel, it wasn't. It was just kind of like, yo, this guy's really strong.
Yeah.
And I say, oh, okay, he's really strong. He could have killed that guy, but he didn't. And it's like, yeah, but why would he want to even kill the guy, right? Superman doesn't even want to hurt anyone, right? He does what he has to do, not what he just feels like doing, right?
Yeah.
So
It's like it's the whole thing, and you know, I keep going back to this, but you know, in Fist of the North Star, right? The first thing we ever see Kenshiro do with his martial art abilities isn't fight anybody. He heals a person. He cures a person of their muteness, and in the second season, he heals someone of their blindness. And that's the first thing we ever see him do on screen, right? Before he's poking people to death or
right,
punching tanks or
making them
whatever.
explode, yeah,
Yeah, we see him heal a person, right?
right,
And on top of that, we see him in like his weakest state. He's in the desert and he's malnourished and he's dehydrated and everything. But like it speaks, but like it was a everything that he does it speaks to his character, right?
Yeah,
And nothing like that happens in Man of Steel. That speaks to Superman's character.
yeah, not really. I mean, yes and no. I mean, like the oil rig rescue, for sure. I mean, it's like I understand he's trying to set
Right,
this.
but is that the first thing that you think of when you think Man of Steel, or do you think
No,
about
it's not.
Superman snapping Zod's neck? No, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right, and that's right. That's what's problematic about it, right? That's become more of an iconic scene but in the wrong way,
Yeah.
for the wrong reasons. Right? And that's kind of yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it is what it is, but I'm hopeful that James Gunn's Superman will be a better version. Um, and ultimately, hopefully, it'll be fun. It'll be fun to
Yeah.
watch. It'll be
Yeah. To be fair, it looks like it's going to be a fun movie.
yeah. It looks like it will be. It looks. I mean, seriously, it looks like he's just ripped pages right out of the comic books and like some of the cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, he's fighting a kaiju, for crying out loud. Like,
Yeah. Despite popular belief, we're not actively hoping that these movies fail.
yeah, exactly. I'm not. I'm open to it being good. I just want it to actually be good. Like Lilo and Stitch did well. I'm happy that it did. A lot of people were upset with the ending, and I understand that.
Well, because it's not Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah,
it was
that's
a terrible
disappointing. Yeah, that they kind of screwed up the ending. So, because it sounds like they pretty much remade it beat for beat with a few alterations, which I don't think anyone had issues with. It's just that ending was kind of like what?
There was a lot of issues.
I know, but they weren't major. They weren't like. I think the ending is the biggest issue. The biggest.
The ending is the biggest issue.
The rest is kind of nitpicks because like the aliens weren't aliens throughout the. They were like.
Well, no, I disagree. It wasn't just nitpicks. There were decisions that changed the character dynamics drastically. So, for example, Jamba, the scientist who created Stitch, in the original movie and in the cartoon series, he's a mad scientist who's like chaotic neutral at best, right? He lives for chaos, and he's clearly insane, but he's not evil, right? Because he's pretty quick to help Stitch by the end of the movie. In the live action movie, from the scenes that I've seen, they just turn him into a sort of a generic, like, evil bad guy, like sort of a what's his name, Dick Dastardly type of character,
Right.
and that wasn't his character in the series. Also, Cobra Bubbles Cobra Bubbles is way lamer in this movie because he's not a secret. He's not he's not he's no longer a former CIA agent who saved the world, mind you. He was literally the coolest character in the original movie because he went from being a CIA agent who saved the world from an alien invasion by convincing them that mosquitoes were an endangered species to being a social worker. And now he's just a social worker.
Yeah.
And it's like that's lame.
Yeah.
He also doesn't look nearly as cool or as intimidating as.
Yeah, it's I forgot the name of the actor. He's married to Angela Bassett.
Vic Ramis?
No, not Vic.
No, Courtney B. Vance. There we go.
Yeah, Courtney Vance. Yeah, that's it. He's a great actor too. I like Courtney Vance. So.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a bad actor. It's just
he wasn't.
You gotta have that presence.
Yeah, I agree. It would have been better if it were being Rames type character.
Yeah,
type of actor. Yeah.
So there was a lot of important things that got changed for the worse. It wasn't just the ending.
Oh, interesting. So, well, I mean, yeah, I heard How to Train Your Dragon is pretty much beat for beat as well.
Yeah, but who cares? Who cares? Like, who cares?
So was The Lion King, right?
Yeah, but Dad, are you gonna watch? Are you gonna watch the cartoon, or are you gonna watch? Do you think most people are gonna watch the live action version over the original cartoon.
Yeah,
Why?
why not?
Because I mean, you said it yourself.
I'm just, I'm,
And
I'm
I
just
know
being,
you are, but stop it. Stop. Like majority of people, your average person is not going, especially a kid. Your average kid is not going to watch the live action Lion King over the animated Lion King because the animation looks cool,
it's
and
boring.
yeah, it's boring. Yeah, and then the CGI lions look boring.
Yeah, it's boring. It's uninteresting compared to the animated.
Yeah, like
And
it's
how,
a
how to Train Your
active
Dragon, I
downgrade.
don't know. I've only seen clips, like screenshots and stuff. It looks okay, but
Right, but just looking okay isn't. If it just looks okay, you already failed.
yeah, I agree. But I mean, it's just pointless, right? It's like, what are we doing here?
So it's just
Yeah,
all of these. But I mean, we've said it a bunch of times. I know you say. I mean, I agree, right? Or animation, people need to stop treating animation like it's a lesser form than live action. When reality
well,
is animation is an upgrade from live action because you could just do more with animation.
yeah,
And Disney knows that you could do more with animation because they keep CGIing the lion. They keep the
yeah.
lion.
That's the irony because they'll say animation is too expensive or something, but yet you're doing animation in every movie. You're doing VFX and all these
Yeah.
different techniques, and you're doing CGI
Ugh.
characters with live action. It's like, come on now. It's at some point, it's like it's kind of getting ridiculous, right? Like
It's
that's an
redundant.
excuse. But it's mainly Hollywood that does that, right? I mean, I think audiences would accept animation. Why? Because if you tie it to compelling stories, right? That's why a lot of these shows, these primetime shows like Simpsons and Family Guy and all that
Right.
stuff, that's why they do well. That's why they're still around, right? They're just as popular as ever, and it's adults watching it. Why? Because they're good and funny.
Well, not even
It's
just on like
people do
primetime
like
television.
animation. I know. I'm just saying as an example to say that it doesn't work, or
Oh, I know, but
well, it
I'm a
does work.
relevant
It's
example
a
is
great
like
medium for it.
yeah. But I'm just saying like think of all the shows that get viral online, right? Digital Circus, Has Been Hotel, a bunch of others. Like those are all you know just like YouTubers making uh, their own animation, right? It's
Yeah.
not Hollywood, so it's there's no excuses at this point, and
No, it's not. It's just like one of the more newer ones. It came out a few years ago, but Final Space. I love that show. It was great.
I never heard of Final Space.
It's look it up. It's a great show, and it's about two or maybe three seasons, I think. And it's awesome. It's a great idea, great concept. The animation was beautiful, and it ended up getting canceled.
Oh,
Sure
it's
why? And he tried to, the creator tried to get it funded. I think he may have done a crowdfund or something. It's like I want to see more stuff like that. It was a great story. It was fun.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And there was another one. I think I told you about it. I can't think right now. It was a Netflix show, and it's about two seasons, maybe three seasons. And another just a great animated show. Um, it's like I don't know. A lot of times animation in general and a lot of these shows, they're so creative and they're fresh and they're new. They don't get the love that they deserve. And I'm not talking about from the audience per se. I think a lot of times the studios just don't put enough support behind it because they don't want to take a chance on something new. And that's the
Well, yeah,
problem.
they want to
They want to put the
invest in
bare
things
minimum. Yeah.
return.
Yeah, they want to put the bare minimum in. It's like that's not even how you run a business, to be honest. Like you can run a business and do the bare minimum, but there's certain dynamics within that business where you can't put the bare minimum. You have to do the maximum. You have to provide maximum quality. right? Maximum service, etc. A maximum product, a product that that people love, but that takes putting in a lot of energy, a lot of time, and a lot of money in many cases to make the best possible product or provide the best possible service.
Yeah.
And it's the same with animation. It's like you can't expect, you know, every so often you'll get an anomaly like The Simpsons where the animation is garbage. You watch that first Simpsons pilot, even before the pilot when it was still on the Tracy Ulmer show. It's
Yeah.
garbage. It's terrible. Matt Groening admits that. He's like, "Yeah, I was really a great artist. I just had this idea, and he made it work. And obviously Tracy Ullman saw potential in it, and so she had it on her show, featured it on as a little, you know, uh, segue or whatever it's called, intermission on her show.
Yeah.
Took off. People loved it. They thought it was funny, right? Why? Because the concept was great, right? The idea was funny. It was the delivery was great. We weren't worried about the animation so much, right?
Right.
It was like, well, it works. I mean, we see what's happening, right? We understand what's happening, and it just got better and better, right, over time. Um, but it's like it doesn't always work that way. A lot of times, yeah, you do have to put in, you know, polish, quality, and before to help something get to where it needs to be. And that means funding. It's not just about because some things don't click right away, some things don't resonate right away, right? Um, not everything is going to be like I said, like a Simpsons where it just kind of takes off. It went viral before viral was a thing, right?
Yeah.
But would it even lasted as long without all the support and the money and the marketing and the merchandising? And it's like, yeah, probably not. Um, and some say it's well past its prime. Like it's kind of
Yeah, but that's not
yeah,
that's the fault of
yeah, but that's what I'm saying because they put so much behind it in it.
Yeah.
I mean, you talking about these?
I mean, the same thing happened to Family Guy, happened to SpongeBob. I mean, it happens to a
Yeah, it
lot
reached
of
a
long running
saturation
shows.
point. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's fine, but that's what I'm saying. It's like some things aren't going to be this instant click. Sometimes it takes time, but that takes putting in effort and yes, money to keep it going and keep it out there in front of people. And I don't know. It's unfortunate sometimes, because there's a lot of good stuff out there that doesn't get enough love, you know. So,
I mean,
but
that's
hopefully,
true. I mean,
with the democratization of technology, right, media, especially animation, software tools, and even AI. As much as a lot of people don't like AI, you know, and I said this the other day. I think I tweeted it, but it's like a lot of people, both detractors and supporters of AI, make way too much of it. They give it way too much power. you know, it's like it's really not as far along as it needs to be for it to become something that's truly viable, right? It just isn't. Like, yes, some people are. You got independent people doing things with it, right? But they're still using traditional methods to produce what they want to produce. They're still going into After Effects and Premiere and doing the editing, and they
yeah,
still have actors acting out scenes, and then they're compositing. Like they're still developing a pipeline, a workflow, and they're using AI maybe for concepting, or they're using it for maybe for backgrounds, or they're using it to do like, a character swapping or to get a certain style or look for their scene, and then they're still doing post work on top of that, right? So it's not ready for prime time quite yet.
no.
Even that Coca-Cola ad, right? It's garbage compared to the original. It really
Yeah.
is. It's like they try to make a big deal out of it, right? Like, oh, Coca-Cola use AI, It's like, yeah, but it still looks like crap. Like it looks like AI.
Yeah.
You don't want AI to look. It's just like CGI, right? The whole point is to trick the mind to believing that something is real when it isn't, right? That's the point of CGI and graphics and like 3D, right? It's the whole uncanny valley, right? We want to fool the mind's eye, right? So that when
Right.
you swap a character, from a digital for a live action, we won't know the difference. That's the entire point, right? so
Right.
so making an AI commercial and it still looks like AI, it's kind of like, okay, so what?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I think they did it to probably get reactions and see if people would just accept it,
I mean, obviously, yeah.
and most people didn't because it looks like crap, right? You can still tell it's AI, like what they say, it's AI slop, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So it's not there yet, and and it's funny because ironically that's kind of the point I'm making about giving these more unique projects love is, they're sitting there, obviously they're paying the media off to promote this and to talk about it, and I'm like, well, do that with an original project. Fine, do that with Final Space, right? Like throw
Yeah.
somebody at that and pump it up in the news and get it out there, right? And put it in the minds of people so that more people will go, oh, maybe I'll check it out, I'll watch it, right? I'll support it, I'll buy some merch, whatever. It's like do that with that stuff, not with AI slop, right? But that's what they were trying to do with that commercial. And there's been others like the Toys R Us did an AI commercial. That was a
Oh,
better
really?
looking commercial. It still looked like AI, but it was better produced. And I think they still use traditional production methods. I don't think it was 100% AI, right? And that's the reality. And so it's not as far along as people claim, both detractors and supporters. It still has a way to go. And yeah, it's making progress, but the progress is like piecemeal, like,
Yeah.
oh, we can get better text to speech, we can get better motion capture, and it's like, okay, but there's still no pipeline built around it. There's still, like, these are like pieces of a bigger whole that needs to happen, right? It's like using a 3D program like 3D Studio Max or something, or Maya, or Blender even, right? Where they're, hey, we got a better viewport. Okay, what about your rendering? Right? Oh, we got a better dope sheet for animation. Okay, great, but what about your lighting system? Right? I mean, you understand? It's like it needs to be a whole package, not just this little pieces here and there, right? Where I got to jump from this to this to this, because even now that's the traditional, now the new traditional pipeline, I guess you could say, where you still, with VFX, with animation, you're jumping from tool to tool, right? And certain tools do certain things better than others, right? Like Maya is great for building uh, 3D models, right?
Hmm.
But you use RenderMan for rendering, right? You don't use the built-in renderer in Maya. You use a separate tool like RenderMan, and
Mm.
maybe you jump into 3D Studio Max for like hard surface. You understand what I'm saying? Like we go on and on. It's like it's piecemeal. VFX Houdini. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You do it in Maya, but Houdini's better because all these different reasons.
Right.
And it's going to be something like that with AI, where there's going to be certain AI apps that are great for certain things, but not great at other things, right? And that's we're already kind of seeing it now, but it's just going to
Yeah,
get
definitely.
more robust. But at some point, there has to be this sort of convergence where there's going to be a handful of apps that kind of do everything, just like we have with 3D, right? You can do an entire animated movie in Blender without ever leaving Blender. Like,
Yeah.
you can, and not just 3D. You can do 2D animation in Blender now, and Maya. Same thing. Built, movies are made in Maya, right?
I
you
mean,
know,
games are made in Blender.
so yeah, games. Yeah, you can make games in Blender. Then of course, Unreal Engine is tapping into that, where it's getting to a point where you practically don't have to leave the engine, right? You're just importing assets from a library or something, right? So you understand what I mean? Like it just depends on what you're trying to do, and at some point they're going to have actual modeling tools. Like they have some basic, like kind of crude tools for modeling, but eventually they're going to build into it a professional modeling interface, and that's going to be a huge game changer, right? Because now you can jump in end to end and build out your game or whatever you're creating inside this engine, and so I think that's what needs to happen with AI, and I think what's really going to happen once it reaches a certain point, it's kind of already happening, but I think it's just going to be integrated with pre-existing tools. You're going to see acquisitions happen, like I think Microsoft just acquired an AI app or something, and you'll probably see that. Who makes Maya? I forgot.
Who makes Maya?
Autodesk. I'm
Yeah.
sure Autodesk will probably acquire something, some AI app, or some kind of strategic partnership. You're already seeing it integrated with Blender. There's like some AI stuff, like free AI stuff that's integrated. You're gonna see that happen, and I think that's where it's really gonna explode and take off, where there's greater control, and so it's actually going to become another tool for artists. It's already in Photoshop, and even free stuff like Krita, it has an AI component, so it's already happening. Photoshop's not that good. I've played around with it. It's okay. you
Yeah.
know, they have Firefly. That's a separate app, and Firefly, same thing. It's okay. Um, it's not great, but they are going to get better. And like I said, they're just going to integrate them into our pre-existing suite of products, right? Whatever that is, um, even in other software like Microsoft Word, Microsoft already has Copilot, so that's kind of the direction. I don't think it's going to be something that replaces. It's going to be something that supplements and complements what's already here. So it'll be stupid to like lay off all of your production artists and all of your graphic designers and all of your animators. You know what I mean? It will make more sense to say,
Well, I heard that's what some people are doing.
well, some yeah, but that has nothing to do with AI. Like a lot of the layoffs you're hearing about, it's not because companies are transitioning to AI or something. It's because they can't afford you. They're not profitable. That's why there's layoffs. It's not because we can make more money or save more money using it. It's like that's not really what's leading that decision. What's leading it, because in other words, if AI wasn't where it was, or if it did exist at all, people will still be getting laid off because they just can't afford you. They're not making money, and they're not making money because they keep putting out crappy content, and so these movies aren't making money, and by extension, you're not selling merchandise, and people aren't going to your theme parks, and et cetera, et cetera. You understand? Like that's what's happening. It's not just AI. AI definitely is gonna, it's gonna affect all industries, and especially voice acting and animation to a degree, right? Like corporate animation will probably be hit harder than um, like movie making and commercials. I think corporate stuff will be, because that's something that AI can do relatively easy,
Yeah.
but AI can't make a One Piece. AI can't produce name anything from the line animation, right?
Yeah.
These other studio, Gynex and all that. Like AI is not doing that. It can make something look like an anime or look like a style. It can't make that animation though. I mean,
Right.
you understand? It's not there yet. It's if it ever will ever get there, I don't know. I honestly don't. I don't know. That's a tough, because when I say like animation, right? There's it's such a big umbrella, right? There's corporate, right, animation. There's motion animation, right? But then there's character animation, and then even within character animation, there's stop motion, right, and all these different. And then there's 2D animation, and then there's 3D animation, and then there's the combination of the two, and then within that there's techniques and styles and processes to get a certain visual result, right? Like using smears and things like that to simulate motion, right? Motion blur, and you understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there's so much nuance in animation to say that animators will be replaced whole cloth. No, that's not going to happen. Not within this decade. I'll put it there. Unless they're holding back something that's going to blow our minds, I can't see that happening. I could see certain stations in an animation pipeline, like a background artist might be replaced because you can just generate a background, right? Backgrounds tend to be static. So you understand what I'm saying? Like if you can mimic a certain style, like you establish some concept work, and then you feed a model that concept work when you have a decision made, and now you can say make this kind of background, and it just does it. And now your animators can just animate on top of that, right? Using traditional methods, but in a digital space, right? So, yeah, I mean, there might be certain roles that are diminished. I think initially there's still going to be a need for cleanup and things like. I just don't see, just flat out replace, right? Push a button or type a prompt and you get a movie. Sure, it'll be slop, right? It's not going to be visually consistent. It's not going to be thematically consistent. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much nuance that goes into producing cinema and animation, and um, I don't know. Can you replicate that? Sure, but it's a heavy lift, and that's not here yet. So that's why I'm saying I think it's kind of overblown even at this stage. But yeah, you're gonna start seeing. We're already seeing it with voice acting. I know that because voice simulation has come along a lot further along, and that's something kind of that lends itself to being replaced by AI, right? Because it's an easy lift, right?
Right.
Relatively speaking, right? Using your voice to speak and excuse me, and convey emotion and nuance. That's something that can happen with one voice actor versus 10 or 5, right? So that's all I'm saying. So a production might not need as many because you're gonna have voice actors that do double duty, right? You can have a voice actor like all I need is a male and a female, and that's it. And I have 20 characters, right? But those two people can voice all those characters, and capture all the nuance I need and everything, right? And that's a 1 week session or 2 day session or so, right? And then I just tweak the voices as I need and use AI for everything else, right? And then once you capture that voice, you can store it, and you can have the AI memorize it and then use it again for other lines, right? I mean, so that kind of lends itself, but like actual animation, even film, like live action film, yeah, it's going to be a while before you're replacing everybody, right? So,
Well, we'll see what happens.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, but that's my 2 cents. I just don't think it's given another 5 or 10 years, maybe. Some might say 2 or 3 years, maybe. I mean, we're definitely going to see progress. Obviously, the question is, will it be the kind of progress where anyone can jump in and do what they need to do and make something compelling, right? And when I say compelling, it's relative, right? But the main thing is, will someone be able to look at it and go, "Oh, that's AI slop," or will they go, "Whoa, that actually looks pretty cool," right?
I mean, it depends on who's behind the wheel ultimately.
Yeah, it does, but it also depends on how far along that AI can get. Where I'm not talking about fooling people, because I'm saying it gets to the quality gets to a point where people don't care. It's just like CGI. So like at some point, it got so good, people just didn't care if it was CGI because it was almost invisible.
Well, yeah, the well, I think the difference between now and then, for both animations and games, is that the technological jump between 2D animation and 3D animation was so great, uh, and especially with video games, like we went from the Super Nintendo to the PlayStation in like 2 or 3 years, like 19 or like yeah, like 4 or 5 years. Like the SNES came out like 91, and then 5 years later we got the PlayStation, and everything's in 3D. And then between the PS1 and the PS2, the graphical leap was super great, and we kind of hit a plateau uh, around the PS3 Xbox era where everything just that's kind of what we expect from graphics all the time. And the same thing with movies. I think at some point there was a plateau
Hmm.
that we just kind of expect movies and CGI to appear a certain way, and it's
Yeah,
kind of hard to like get past that
right.
because the technology like we've already hit the peak of what CGI could do. At least that's what
Well,
it feels like from
yeah,
like
I
your
mean,
average person's perspective.
yeah,
Because
that's a
here's the thing: nobody really
good.
cares if you could see like Woody's pores or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's an
Because a
excellent.
lot, a lot of it's just been small stuff, right? It hasn't been
Yeah,
giant
yeah,
leaps.
fur counts and all that.
Yeah,
And yeah,
that's stuff that nobody really cares about. You know
well,
what I
it's
mean?
not even that, but it's like the brain can only process so much information, right?
Yeah, CGI
So,
is peak of the
like I
game.
remember in Monsters Inc., I think it was the Monsters University where they were bragging about, in the behind the scenes, they're like, "Oh, we got the fur count from 200 million to 800."
Yeah, but it's like, who
It's like,
cares?
yeah, wait a second. No
Like,
one's gonna like sit
yeah,
there and go, "Whoa, his fur count looks a lot higher." Like, no one cares, right? It's so just gonna say
because here's the
fur ain't
thing.
fuzzy like before. I mean, it does it. I think it
Yeah,
has reached a certain plateau, visually speaking, right? Like, have we crossed the uncanny valley yet? Um, almost, right?
sometimes
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
been
exactly. It's kind of
inconsistent.
yeah, exactly. It's like hit and miss. Depends on what you're referring to.
And here's
Like
the
the
thing
girl with
that
the dragon tattoo, right? That was a lot of CGI in that, and it's pretty much invisible. Like you
yeah
wouldn't know it, So, but then you look at Star Wars, Rogue One, at the end with Princess Leia, right? It was kind of like, oh yeah, we can see it, like she's fake, but nice try, you know what I mean? So it just depends.
yeah. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, and it's like it doesn't matter you know how many like pores or zits that you could see on Woody's face or whatever. It's like none of that really matters if the movies aren't good. This is doubly true for gaming. Like most like game companies have spent so much money on graphics and making games so realistic that they're indistinguishable from movies. Like, and it's like, oh, I remember there was a Call of Duty trailer that everybody made fun of because they were like, oh, we programmed the fish to swim away from you when you
Yeah,
come near
that's right.
them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like, oh yeah, you know who else did that back in 1995? Super Mario 64.
that's right.
Yeah, and people still play Mario, but nobody's playing Mario 64 for the fish though. They're playing because the gameplay is
Right,
great.
they're not gonna care that the fish run away and like,
But here's the thing: it's like no matter how much money they dump into the graphics of these games, they'll never be as relevant as a game like Among Us or Roblox or Undertale or Hollow Knight, which arguably have worse graphics but
right.
have
Yeah,
way better gameplay.
speaking, yeah, the graphics are more simple and yeah, because at the end of the day, it's about story and with gaming, story and gameplay, right?
Well,
It's
I mean,
so,
gameplay is much more important. Like,
no, I know, but you still want to story still
well,
matter.
obviously, but at the end of the day, is even if the story in a game is bad, I'm still gonna go back to play the game if the game's fun.
Yeah, if the gameplay is good, I agree. Yeah,
You know. So, and I'm not saying you should make a bad story. You should try to make a bad story again. Play, but like it just as an example, right? And I wanted to show this off because mainly because the Switch 2 is out and people are still complaining about
yeah,
spending $80
I'm
on.
buying it though.
I mean, people are buying it, but
Yeah,
here's the thing, though: it's like we've gotten to a point where you don't like people are sort of proclaiming that this is gonna end the gaming industry, and they're counting out games like the one I'm about to share. Right, so you could spend 80 or bucks on the new Mario Kart, or you know, you could be playing this game. This is Dr. Robotnik's Ring Racers. Hold on a second. Can you hear the game all right?
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear anything?
No.
That's not good. But can you at least see the game?
Oh, I see it. I just can't hear the volume.
Okay. So this is Dr. Robotnik's Ring Racers. This is one of my favorite racing games ever. Oh, that's why I accidentally.
What happened?
I accidentally opened the game twice.
Oh.
That's probably why the audio was glitching out.
Probably.
But yeah. So yeah, Mecha Missionary. This is fan made. All right, can you hear it now?
No, I still can't hear it.
I don't know.
It's okay, but I mean,
I think you're just old, Dad. but,
no, I can't hear it at all. It's not coming through.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, but yeah, this is Dr. Robotnik's Ring Racers. This is a fan made game. Obviously, it's a Sonic racing game, but there's so much content in this game, right? And it's free on top of that. And like you've got online multiplayer, you've got it's got everything that you would expect if you played Mario Kart, you played this game. But it offers a lot more, right? There's a lot of extra challenges. There's a lot of there's so many tracks in this game. Like if you're a Sega fan, then you're gonna love this game. Just in general, like not just a Sonic fan. But yeah, look at this.
I mean, it looks cool.
Right, but it's like this is a full racing game that's free. And I don't have to spend money on DLC. I don't have to spend $50 on cosmetics. I don't have to buy a season pass. I just have to download the game and play it.
Yeah, but this is fan made, right?
Right, but there are other original games out there with the same level of quality. Right. I just brought this up because this is one of my favorites.
No, but my point in asking is the fact that we have to understand, there's a difference between passion and profit, right? And fans who make games or any property, like I love the fan made Star Wars stuff that I see on YouTube, right? Like they're like using Unreal Engine. It looks awesome, and they're not making money, right? Because they're just passionate fans. They want to tell stories in this universe, right? And the same thing, they want to make games inspired by the original universe, right? And so they make these games, and that's passion, right? So they're saying, I'm willing to put passion and create something awesome and give it away for free in exchange for recognition, making friends, it just putting something cool out there, right? And maybe they make money other ways, right? Building up their channel following, things like that. But what I'm saying is like companies are profit driven, right? Game companies, media companies, etc. So their mindset is, how do we make money from this, right? Because just the initial sale, that's $60 or $70 or $80, right? Now it's getting close to $100. Sometimes that's not enough to cover the cost of producing a game. Now, to me, just from my observations, a lot of that is because inflation, right? It's also because if you're an employer, there's certain parameters you have to meet as an employer, benefits, things like that. There's overhead, there's taxes, there's payroll taxes, You understand what I'm saying? Like,
I get all that.
I'm not trying to paint a sympathetic picture of corporations, but a lot of these game companies aren't, you know, they're
Yeah,
not just
that's fine. I understand all that. I really don't care though. And on top of that's not also not my point. My point is that as a gamer, as a consumer, I no longer have to rely on these big AAA companies for
right.
entertainment anymore. I could satisfy my needs as a gamer, and most people can by supporting and
Right,
supporting
supporting
these indie
independent
creators
content creators.
because, like you said earlier, the democratization of technology has gotten so great that people are just making their
Right.
own Mario Kart. They're
Just
making their
just
own
understand
Call of Duty.
in saying that, right, that it's still limited. And that's going to be interesting to see as time progresses, you know. Um you can, in other words,
I mean, right?
like
I think the
for example,
benefits outweigh the limits at this point.
no,
Because
no, listen to what I'm saying. For example, recently, we had a comic book creator who posted, you know, a very harsh reality, which is that even though he had a successful Kickstarter, fully funded, upwards of $30,000, right, for his book, it was about 100-page book. You know, he's basically dirt broke. Why? Because he decided to produce this 100-page book and not work and do anything else but produce this book. And eventually the funds he raised ran out because he had to pay bills.
right,
Um, and granted, it's a lot of mismanagement, of course. Uh,
mm,
but ultimately, what I'm saying is that that's the harsh reality: is that people can only do free for so long. There's a limit. You have to. There has to be profitability, right? Like even guys like this who are doing it out of passion, because obviously they're very good at making games. That's number one, right?
yeah.
Um, but two, it's like these guys have day jobs. These
Oh yeah,
guys
of course. I mean,
have
this
family.
game was made
No,
by a team of people on their spare time.
I know
I get that.
that's the point I'm making,
I
and
know. I get it.
that has its limitations. And so we could say, yeah, you have the indie space, but you won't have it for very long if it's not supported. You understand? In other words, you have to get to a point where there is a profit motive, right? Where you have to say, "Hey guys, I know I made this for free. If you want more, I need your support, right? I need money. Why? Because I have bills to pay. I need to eat. You
Well,
understand? Like,
obviously, yeah.
and that's all I'm saying is we
I'm
don't
just
want to.
saying
We don't
I'm
want.
more willing to if I have to spend money, I'm more willing to invest my money in the indie
Yeah,
creator
that's
more
that's
so
that's
than
exactly that's
uh
the point I'm making is you have to be willing to invest your money, excuse me, in independent creators. It- it- that's the only way it's going to continue.
yeah.
Excuse me. That's the only way that there can be an alternative to mainstream anything is you have to divert those funds that you would give mainstream to independent content creators. That's the only way it's going to work. It's like so free is nice. Just understand, like, be willing to also say, hey guys, here's $20.
Oh
Here's
yeah, of course. I mean, I just showing this game off because this is the game that I've been playing recently. That's and it's like and I just think it's funny because like I said, you know, and I'm not saying Mario Kart World. From what I've heard, Mario Kart World, there was no doubt in my mind that Mario Kart World was going to be bad or anything. It's a good game, but it's just so I just think it's funny that people, a lot of people have just been complaining about spending $80 on a kart racing game when there's a bunch of other and there's more games outside of this, right?
yeah, of
That
course.
are way are way
I
cheaper
know, but
that
the
still
point,
offer quality gameplay.
yeah, but the point is, it's not just about the gameplay in general, right? It's like saying, I go to the grocery store and I want Coca Cola. Oh, they don't have it, but they have Dr Pepper. And it's like, well, I don't want Dr. Pepper. I want Coca-Cola. Why? Because that's what I want. And it's the same thing
Yeah.
with the Switch and these in the game in the new games like Mario Kart. It's like, yeah, I have options, which is great, but I want Mario Kart
Yeah.
because I like Mario Kart, right? So if I have to pay the $80, if I really want Mario Kart, I'm going to pay the $80. Like it's as simple as that.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You pinch your nose when you pay it, but you're probably going to pay it if you really want that game, especially if it really is a good quality game, right? If it's checking off all the boxes, right? Um, it's probably it's earning that $80, right?
Hmm.
Because that $80 is there for a reason. It's not just corporate greed. That's kind of the point I'm getting to. Is you know we have to understand these are. It's just anybody. Just look at your own life. You can't spend 12 hours a day working on your art.
No.
You know what I mean? Why? Because you have rent and you got to buy groceries. You understand? So you got to do something that makes money, right? So if your art isn't making money, then you have to get a job or something or start a business doing something else. But you have to do something. And that's it's the same with these companies. It's on a larger scale, And granted, they deserve whatever criticism, that comes their way for poor business practices or
Yeah.
putting out, and they've done, we've seen this, putting out low quality games with a lot of bugs. That's all fair. So, but I'm just saying, but we also have to understand in the proper context, like profit is not evil in and of itself. To want to be profitable is just common sense. You
No,
know?
I don't think that at all.
No, I'm
I'm
not
just
saying you are. I'm saying I see a lot of comments and the attitude towards companies like Nintendo where they think they're trying to argue it's greed, it's this, and it's like, well, you don't jump the greed so fast, right? It's market forces, and a lot of it's not even in their control, right? And it's like, okay, how do we give them a AAA game that has all this cool stuff, right? And make money from it so that we can make more games, right? That's how it works. If it's not profitable, guess what happens? They don't make more games, you know.
yeah. No, I
So
mean I get
that's
that.
all I'm saying is that
I think the larger, and this isn't just Nintendo, the larger problem with a lot that most the people have with particularly modern games is that it's a lot of they're charging they're charging $80 prices, but they're not providing $80 content. I'm not specifically talking about
well,
Mario Kart. I'm talking about
I know, but
games like
that's a
uh,
matter of opinion, right? And so the market will decide if $80 is worth it, right? Yeah, that's the point I'm making. Like if you're a fan of it's market could be whatever other game it is, and it's $80, and you're like, I don't know, man. I don't think this game's worth
well,
$80.
right. Well, I'm not talking about Mario Kart right now. I'm talking
I
about
know that's what I
games
just
like
said. Even other games, I'm saying you still got to decide: is this game worth it?
well, people have decided because
Yeah,
games like obviously games like the new Assassin's Creed didn't sell, the new Star Wars game didn't sell. People
yeah,
weren't willing to
right. They were willing to pay the extra $10.
yeah.
Yeah, I understand, and you know why? Because times are hard. A lot of people don't have a lot of disposable income.
Well, obviously, yeah, but
Crazy prices.
that didn't stop people from buying Mario Kart World because Mario Kart World is a good game.
Well, yeah, it's widely popular. So are you arguing those games are subpar?
Which games?
The ones you just named, Assassin's
Oh,
Creed.
they are, yeah.
Okay, so that's why they're not buying. So it's not the price tag; it's the quality of the game.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah, but it's like
Yeah. So,
they
but that's
they
the point I'm making. It's the market will decide, and that's why they have to justify that new cost by saying we're going to make the best game possible,
well,
right?
yeah, a lot. Yeah, I'm just saying a lot of there's the current trend. The general consensus is that a lot of game companies aren't aren't making games that justify the cost of
Right.
games.
Yeah, and that's
Particularly Western game devs.
yeah, that's a matter of opinion because, like I said, they're raising their prices for more than just we're making a better game. No, it's like air at the gas station. It used to be 25 cents, now it's $1.50. Why? Is it a better quality air? No, it's called inflation. It's market forces at play here, and they have to adjust to those forces, right? Or else they got to eat the cost, and if they eat the cost, they're not profitable. You understand? If they're not profitable, then what happens? Well, they're going to have to lay people off. They're going to have to diminish their holdings. They're going to have to say, well, we're only going to make this game and not this game.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? Like they have to make choices just like we do every day when, we get a cut in pay or something, right? Or our rent goes up. We start saying, well, maybe I won't pay for that thing anymore, whatever that thing is, right? That Netflix subscription's got to go. I'll stick with Hulu and Disney or vice versa, right? I mean, you understand? We
Yeah.
start making cuts and adjustments. It's the same with a company, and just like with a company raising prices, it's the same as us going to our boss and saying, I need a raise. Right? Give me a raise, and that's kind of their way of saying that to their customers. Hey guys, we're going to charge an extra $10, and then they see what you say, right? And you're going to speak with your wallets, and you'll say, well, I'll buy Mario Kart for an extra $10 because it looks awesome, and I've heard it's a great game and has great gameplay and graphics and music and blah blah blah. But I'm not doing Assassin's Creed because I heard that was whack, right? Right? You know that's how it's going to play out, right? And then
Yeah.
what's going to happen? Well, they'll offer Assassin's Creed at a discount price at some point in the future. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Like they'll
Yeah.
bundle it with something else, so they can sell units and get the that's part of the reason why a lot of these companies are going all digital versus doing cartridges and CDs and stuff, right? There's no more warehousing. It's all
Right.
on servers, and they're already maintaining servers anyway. So, you know, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason for a lot of stuff, and it's not just like from what I've seen. Like people are commenting greed, and it's like no, it's not greed. It's kind of the way things work. Like, sure,
Yeah.
sometimes it could be greed, like when you talk about like DLC content or loot boxes and stuff like that, right? Like, yeah, you can argue to a degree it's probably just greed and whatever, but most of the time it's like we got to be profitable, so we got to make some choices. Um, that's just kind of how it works. So we'll see. I heard that the new Switch is selling pretty good.
Yeah. So
So
far, yeah.
yeah, because isn't it a higher price point also the Switch itself?
Uh,
Isn't it like 400 or 600 something? I mean, it's like high, right? Because I
I heard it
remember
was four
I,
hundred dollars, but I think that's
that's
pretty
about typical.
normal.
Okay,
That sounds about right. Yeah.
I remember
350 30
buying
395.99. Yeah.
the Nintendo Wii, right? I mean the Wii U, not the Wii, the Wii U. And that was about 250 or so with taxes. It came out to right around 300, like just under. And that was at Walmart, right? That was years ago, obviously. So,
Yeah, it's three
uh,
hundred dollars.
so now the Switch, which is way smaller, handheld, and it's 400, 450.
Well,
That-
it's a handheld and it's a normal console,
I know that.
and
I'm just
apparently it's
smaller form factor,
yeah.
but it costs more.
Right. I mean, right, but it's not just a handheld though. It's also a
I know
TV
that.
console
I
as
didn't
well.
say it was. You're not listening to what I'm saying.
I heard what you
I
said,
didn't
but
say it's
there's
only
a lot. I'm just saying.
smaller form factor, meaning it's small, it's compact and portable. It's still a console. I understand that, but I'm saying, but it costs more.
I mean, yeah, it could do a lot more. I mean, the Switch Two is arguably. I mean, it's objectively better than having a Wii U.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So
I
I mean,
mean,
that doesn't really
that,
surprise me that
I
it
was
costs
like,
more than a Wii
this
U.
is the future. It's going to get smaller because I'm like, it just makes sense. Like,
Oh well, I mean, yeah,
yeah, I don't like because at the time when the Wii U came out, I think Xbox and PlayStation they were still doing full consoles. Like they redesigned them a bit, but they were still kind of big and clunky, right? So I
Yeah,
was surprised by that. Like, 'cause I think Nintendo had it right, and here we are with Switch 2, and I'm like, yeah, they need to keep going in that direction. You know, I mean, like I said, I was telling your brother, they need to just basically do a phone with attachments
yeah,
for controllers. Like, just make partner with a cell phone company, cell phone provider, or just make it an open, um, jailbreak phone, right?
hmm
And people can pick their provider, but you know, give people everything, right? You do a good size, like Samsung proves that you can do a good size phone with a nice screen and still be handheld, right?
yeah,
So
that's true.
I think I think that's the future. Just do a phone, build in everything. It's all in the cloud, all your games. Now the key is backwards compatibility. I know that was an issue even now with the two, right? But does it
Well,
play
you could
all
play. There's an online shop where you could download a bunch of retro games. Like they have a GameCube library, so you can play GameCube
yeah,
games on
that's
the
what I'm wondering.
Switch.
Yeah. But is it free?
No, it's
Yeah,
a
that's
subscription.
how much is a subscription?
That I don't know.
Okay. Because that to me that's a problem if it's not if you've already purchased, you know,
But yeah, nobody likes buying the same
Soul
game three
Calibur or
times.
something, or yeah, I mean, like, yeah, you shouldn't have to repurchase what you already have. That's kind
Yeah,
of understand that, even if it is in the cloud. So we'll see how that works out. That kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth right there. So you know,
yeah,
but yeah, that's going to be, I think, a big factor is um, smaller form factor, more powerful, more functionality, and obviously access to previous games. Those are going to be the big ones. So yeah, we'll see. But I think eventually people will settle in on $80. Yeah,
if the games are good.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but we're going to also get we see this with streaming. Like you're saying, I think people will go start just playing their old games all over again instead of buying new games. They'll just,
Yeah,
you know, they're going to hold on to their consoles, right? And they're just going to keep playing their old games. So, and then more indie creators are going to make mods and things like that based on those old games, right? And
yeah.
expand, right? And do it for free, quote unquote free. They'll figure out a way to monetize,
Oh
you know.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that's going to be the trend until they can get a lock on that pricing, or just put something out that's just so compelling. Like the Mario Kart is pretty compelling. So I can see why people go, yeah, I'll go ahead and spring for that, you know. But if it's not compelling enough,
I mean, yeah, it's pretty hard to mess up Mario Kart.
yeah, yeah. So, but like you're saying with the others, that's probably going to be, like a no go. Like, oh, it's not worth it. And that's going to, so what's going to happen, they'll adapt by focusing more on what's selling, like Mario Kart, right? And
Yeah,
what's not selling, they'll say, well, we're not going to worry about that one. You know what I mean? Or they're
yeah,
going to try and double down and make it better. We'll see. But my guess is if it's abysmal, like the sales, they'll probably just abandon it altogether. Who knows? But
yeah. We'll
because
see what happens.
yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna call it a day today. Um, that's all I got. You have anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for checking us out today, giving us a little bit of your time. We appreciate it. I want you guys to go out there and have a great Super Galactic Saturday. And if you're somewhere where the weather's good, get out there and enjoy it. So, and make it a wonderful day.
We'll see you around.